But I do want to get to Joe Judge because so far, through training camp, through his press conferences, through any really media availability, we've seen Joe Judge take a similar approach to a lot of assistant coaches that left New England when they become head coaches, what they've done. That is, carry that Belichickian style of coaching with them to whatever stop they go to. Right? Romeo Crennel has done it. Josh McDaniels has done it. Matt Patricia's doing it in Detroit. Eric Mangini tried to do it when he was at the Jets. For the most part, really, everyone outside of Bill O'Brien, he's had his own issues down there in Houston. But for the most part, every Belichick assistant has failed. And it's because they carry that Belichickian way about them to their new team. And Joe Judge is not shy on Belichick traits that he's carried from New England now down in New York. When practice started, when training camp started, Judge removed the names from the back of the practice jerseys so players can't identify each other by the last names. And instead, he wants them to identify each other based on body type and how they move. So Daniel Jones doesn't have Jones on the back of his jersey. He wants the defensive linemen, he wants the linebackers, he wants the corners to know that's Daniel Jones because you know what? He's 6'5". That's Daniel Jones because look at his gait, the way he runs. That's Daniel Jones. So he doesn't want any other identifying quality about them. And he wants the players to know who their opponent is, who they're going against, based upon their body type and how they move. He refuses to call any of their players by their real names, or their names in general, I should say. He doesn't address names. He doesn't address specific players. It'll be position groups. It'll be the overall team. He won't ever say Saquon Barkley, won't ever say Daniel Jones. And the latest thing, that really since training camp started, the one that's gotten the most attention, is that he said players and coaches run laps for mistakes, including coaches. So if players are running laps, if it's the coach's fault, the coaches are joining the players in running laps at practice. So obviously, the reason this is getting attention is because it deviates from the norm. This is not the coaching strategy that most coaches employ. And the trait that I was talking about, the philosophy that I was talking about that has failed so many coaches like Romeo Crennel, like Josh McDaniels, like Matt Patricia, like Eric Mangini. Why they have failed in their respective spots isn't because they don't know how to coach. It's because they weren't true to themselves. They weren't them. Or you go to New England, you buy into the Patriot way, you see how Bill Belichick runs it, basically emotionless. Basically every player is just a cog in the machine to get the job done. And because Bill Belichick has had insane success through his 2-decade run in New England, because they've won 6 Super Bowls, the players buy in. The players respect, and they put up with, more importantly, Belichick's crazy quirks, crazy tactics, because they know in the end it's going to win. It's worked for 2 decades. Players have come and gone, but they are competitive and they win. And if that's not you, Bill Belichick could pull it off because that's him. That's his personality. But the other assistant coaches try to emulate what Bill Belichick has done, and they fail because that's not them. So we will find out quickly about Joe Judge. But if he's not 100% authentic, if this is not who he truly is, if this was not who he was before he got to New England, he's doomed. He's doomed. History is going to repeat itself over and over and over again. Because we've seen guys time and time and time again leave New England, have a ton of success as the offensive coordinator, as a defensive coordinator, go to a new team, think, okay, we're going to take the Patriot way to Detroit, to Cleveland, to the Jets, to Denver. And the players are just going to buy in. They're going to listen to me because I came from New England. I'm not Bill Belichick, but I coached with Bill Belichick. And guess what? Players know you aren't Bill Belichick. You can't pretend to be someone you're not, because that's how players don't buy in. That's how players don't respect you. Players can smell bullcrap. They can sense it. They know when you're being a fraud, if that's not who you truly are. So if Joe Judge, if this is not who he truly is, if he didn't believe in this philosophy, again, before he got to New England, he's 100% doomed. Giants can be in the same spot, whether it's 2 years from now or 3 years from now, looking for a new coach. Because these tactics, because they're unconventional, rub players the wrong way. And if you don't have success, players turn on you quick. So it's easy now, right? There's a new style, new man in town. So it's easy for the players to buy into running laps, right? For the most part, no player in the Giants has come out publicly and said, yeah, this running laps thing is dumb. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't help us identify mistakes. It doesn't help us learn from our mistakes. It's easy to buy in now because it's new. All right, Joe Judge, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. Right, his opening press conference I thought was great. But again, how many press conferences that have, how many opening press conferences have we seen coaches win and then fail on the field? So it's easy to buy in now in training camp when everything looks and sounds good. But once you get to the field, if the team struggles, if Joe Judge is overwhelmed, can't get the players to buy in, guess what? The locker room will turn on you like that. Look what happened to Freddie Kitchens. A man overwhelmed, a man right away the players knew this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Despite him being buddies with Baker Mayfield, despite him, turning around the offense once coaching changes were made 2 years ago and he was elevated to offensive coordinator, despite really not having much experience, the offense turned around. The players bought in because it was new. And as soon as he's that coach, as soon as he was exposed, really in week 1, for not being ready, not being prepared, and the Titans just came into Cleveland and punched the Browns in the mouth. There's a reason why the Browns had all that talent and still struggled. Because the players knew, they smelled the bull crap. They knew Freddie Kitchens wasn't up for the job. And there's a reason why in 1 year he was fired. So the Patriot way works because they win, and winning brings buy-in. The Patriots respect Bill Belichick. They know this is how he is. And that success that they have breeds buy-in. When you go to New England, you know what you're getting. If you're drafted there, if you sign as free agent, if you're traded there. And if guys like Tom Brady can buy into the Patriot way, can buy into Bill Belichick's style of coaching for 2 decades, deal with getting yelled at every day, deal with basically getting told how bad he is every single day, pointing out his mistakes, not giving much praise. There's a reason why Tom Brady put up with it for 2 decades. There's a reason why a lot of these players have put up with it for a long time, because they win. They know it works. And those players on the other 31 teams, wherever these assistant coaches get hired, they don't have that same buy-in because right now to them, whether it's, Romeo Crennel, whether it's Josh McDaniels, Matt Patricia, Eric Mangini, now Joe Judge. Sure, they were in New England, had success while they were there, but it wasn't them that had the success. It was Bill Belichick was the one that put the wheels in motion. It was Bill Belichick the one that was the mad genius, the mad scientist behind all their success. The Jaguars yesterday trading their star defenseman Yannick Ngakoue to the Vikings. Or now, the news this morning of the Jaguars cutting Leonard Fournette, a man they took 4th overall back in 2017. Had 3 healthy years, 3 years, 2 of them healthy. He ran for 1,000 yards in his first year and this past year. And I wanted to kind of highlight and bring about that talent alone, accumulating talent, right? Just getting the best guys you possibly can, on its face, doesn't guarantee success. Because now, at least with the Ngakoue trade, a great young defensive end that in a league, the 2 most important positions, quarterback, defensive end, guys who can get after the quarterback, and a young star. Second in Jaguars history in sacks. He's only 25 years old. The Jaguars shipped him out. It shows just accumulating talent doesn't guarantee success. Because guess what you need? Similar to the process we're going to get into here in a second. You need competent leadership. You need a great front office. You need coaching with an actual plan, having a plan. That is what leads these teams to be great. It's not just picking. It's not drafting well. It's not signing the right free agents. Because as we've seen, more times than not, the whole doesn't always equal the sum of the parts. You need a plan. You need competent leadership. Because if not, if you don't have that, if you just have just talent and nothing else, you are in big trouble. 2017, you know what the Jaguars had? Talent. On their defense alone, when they went to the AFC title game, they had 6 players that made the Pro Bowl. 6. You had Malik Jackson on the defensive line. You had Jalen Ramsey, A.J. Boye in the secondary. Lockdown corners. Tevin Smith, Calais Campbell, and now Yannick Ngakoue. All 6 of those players, just from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, all gone. So you got talent. Over half your defense made the Pro Bowl in 2017. You had the talent, but you didn't have a plan. You didn't have a competent front office. The coaching wasn't great. Now they're all gone. Here's what I mean by front office competence. Jaguars throws a great idea coming off 2017. Let's give Blake Bortles a contract extension. The man who made a few plays in that Steelers game, in that AFC divisional round game in Pittsburgh where they won, they got a big upset, made a play or two in New England, and they're up by 2 touchdowns and lost. Signed to a contract extension. Didn't work out. Gone. You had, this is where it gets really bad. You had the own NFL Players Association, the own NFLPA, right? The Players Association that represents all the players, advise their clients, which essentially all the players in the NFL, to sign anywhere but Jacksonville, because the Jags had all these they fined all these players for missing quote-unquote mandatory offseason activities that weren't actually mandatory. So they had antiquated rules led by Tom Coughlin, who wasn't on the same page with the players, to the point where you have the own Players Association telling their own players, don't go to Jacksonville. It's a mess. Go somewhere else. And they still retain the services of head coach Doug Marrone, despite his struggles. So, again, accumulating talent without actually a plan doesn't guarantee success. We've seen it. We just talked last week about this process. And if you missed that, I highlighted that the process did the easy part. All right, they tanked. Losing games is easy to do. Getting high draft picks is easy to do. And when you have the amount of draft picks the Sixers had, tons and tons and tons of draft picks, it's easy to hit on a guy or two. That's what they did. They hit on Joel Embiid. They hit on Ben Simmons. So they did the easy part. They got 2 bona fide NBA players, 2 potential borderline superstars. That was the easy part. The hard part was turning a losing culture into a winning culture. The hard part was putting players around to complement the skill set of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. And so far, the process has not done that. Sam Hinkie was fired. Elton Brand now has been unable to complement these players. And there's a reason why. Despite having the talent on the court, they still can't win. And now the Jaguars are in that same spot. Because they don't have good front office. I don't know why I keep saying front ownership. They don't have a good front office that has a plan, excuse me. Coaching's not great. And that's why they haven't been able to get back to the playoffs since 2017. This should have been a team that stuck around. They had the right pieces in place, especially defensively, to win. In a pass-happy league, they could stop the pass. They got after the quarterback. They had the recipe for success. But because they didn't draft well, they didn't have a plan in place, and they gave money to the wrong guys, everyone wanted out. Yannick Ngakoue wanted out so bad, he took a $6 million pay cut. He took a pay cut, $6 million, just to get traded to Minnesota so he can fit under their salary cap. Think about that. In the NFL, it has the shortest lifespan or average career of any of the 4 major sports, where your career could end in a second. By one play, your career is over. We see it time and time and time again. It's a business. It's vicious. So when you're a player, when you're trying to get a second contract or a third contract, or even just staying on your rookie deal, which is what Yannick Ngakoue is, you don't take pay cuts because you need that money. There's no guarantee of another contract coming in. And he took a $6 million pay cut to get the hell up out of Jacksonville because he saw what a mess it was. And guess what? If nothing is fixed, and they did fire Tom Coughlin, so that's at least a step in the right direction, but their general manager, Dave Caldwell's still there, Doug Marrone is still there, they're going to run into the same exact issue in another 2 or 3 years, because guess what they're doing? The Jaguars are unloading all their talent, trying to get more draft picks, and now in this upcoming 2021 draft, they have 12 draft picks, 4 in the top 2 rounds. They're going to get talent. Again, that's the easy part. When you have that many bullets, when you have 4 picks in the top 2 rounds, you're going to hit on 1 or 2. You're going to draft right. You're going to get lucky in some sense. But if you don't have a plan, if you don't have good coaching, you're not winning. That is anything but a guarantee for success. Talent wins, obviously. You need good players to win. But good players alone don't win games. Just having talent without anything else around it does anything but guarantee success. Because look what happened with Jacksonville. They had still a lot of talent after 2017, and they have not won. They've really not even been good.